it would cost a Tesla $115 to go this distance. Okay, now let's look at the Toyota, and we're going to use 47 miles a gallon. And so in this case, the hybrid wins. And probably the longer distance you go, the bigger the difference is going to be between the hybrid. And so right here, the hybrid wins, right? And this just goes to show you that Toyota is right, that if you get a hybrid, you're going to save way more money over time. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Well, in my last video, I discussed how much it costs to take an electric vehicle on a road trip. I showed you all my road trip in my Rivian R1T. The total trip was around 1,500 miles, and I calculated the cost of the road trip at each stop that I had, and even the amount of time that it took to charge. And there were a lot of questions and comments in the comment section. Like, I really appreciate you all commenting in the comment section. It really adds to the conversation as far as, electrification is concerned, especially for those who really don't know. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. And the goal of my channel is just to provide the facts and also my experience, based on my experience as an EV owner. And so in today's video, what we're going to do, we're going to discuss one of the comments that I had, and we're going to analyze it. And we're going to calculate everything and see if what they say holds true. And so here's the comment. And this comment comes from @RandyGreen7871. And it says, great video. Thank you. I appreciate it. For the same amount of money, our 2019 Camry Hybrid can go 3,500 miles at $2.79 a gallon at 50 miles per gallon. That's 2,000 miles more for the same money. And basically what Randy Green is comparing the Camry to is my Rivian R1T, which for me, I would not compare those two vehicles. The Rivian R1T is a 7,000 pound, 835 horsepower vehicle. And the Camry is obviously it's a mid-sized sedan, which is an economy car. However, we're going to compare it to a vehicle that's more comparable. It's going to be the Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive. And we're going to see which one fares out the best as far as road tripping and also as far as just day-to-day driving, which that's what the majority of the driving that people are going to do. And so that's what we're going to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into this. Before we get started, I really appreciate if you go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and also hit that notification bell so you'll be notified of any new videos I have coming out. And also helps the YouTube algorithm. So anyone who wants the facts on electric vehicles, outside of the misinformation, they can get the actual facts. Because I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Electric vehicles are great in my opinion, but it depends on your use case. And so let's go ahead and get started. So in this video, I'm going to compare the Tesla Model 3 long range rear wheel drive to a Toyota Camry hybrid. We're going to see which one fares best. This person brings up a great point, and you hear all the time, hybrids are the way to go. And so let's go ahead and break down these vehicles. First, I have the Tesla Model 3 pulled up, and you see right here, this is the Tesla Model 3, and this is the long range rear wheel drive. And let's see what the price is on this one. So if you financed it, let's just go down to the bottom. We'll see what the price is on this. And we're looking at $44,130, and that's the purchase. That's without the tax credit also. And also, if you want to lease this vehicle, let's check this out too. You can lease this for $299 a month. The vehicle that we're going to compare to is going to be the Toyota Camry, a hybrid. And so I have those right here, and you see I have 3 spec here, and it shows the gas mileage right here, city, highway, and combined, it has 46, and I believe this might be an all-wheel drive. That is an all-wheel drive, and that's all-wheel drive. So we're just going to do the base model Toyota Camry, which gets 48, 47. So we're going to go with that 47 number. And that's what we're going to compare it to. And also, just for some other comparable measures, we're going to look at the curb weight of these vehicles. And you see the vehicle we're going to compare it to is 3494. And then we're going to go over to the Tesla Model 3. And we see this one, we have a curb weight of 3891. So about 400 pounds heavier. So it's heavier, but not appreciably heavier. Somewhere within the ballpark. You see the all-wheel drive Toyotas are even closer in weight at 3649 and 3682. So, but yeah, so we're going to compare the numbers now. So we're going to use the same thing I used on my video, a 1,500 mile road trip. and we're going to see which one fares the best. And then we're going to compare daily use, because that's what the majority of people do. The average person may take one road trip a year, and the average distance varies depending on what source you're looking at. But usually it's probably around less than 500 miles, really, but one way. But we're going to look at the 1,500 mile road trip, and then we're going to look at the average of 1,200 miles a month that the average person drives per year. Okay, let's go ahead and pull this calculator up. Okay, now I have my calculator pulled up. And so in this instance, we're going to first look at the Tesla Model 3. And I know that that vehicle gets 4.54 miles per kilowatt hour. So we're going to say that's a 1,500 mile trip. And then we're going to divide that by 4.54, and that's how many miles you can get per kilowatt hour. And that equals 330.39 kilowatt hours. So this is how much energy you're going to have to put into the battery in order to go 1,500 miles in the Tesla Model 3 real long range. So next we're going to determine how much it's going to cost for this Tesla to go 1,500 miles using the Tesla Supercharger network. And I know the cost varies, so we're going to use an average of 35 cents, which should be a good number per kilowatt hour. And so we're going to times this times 0.35. It would cost a Tesla $115 to go this distance. Okay, now let's look at the Toyota. And we're going to use 47 miles a gallon. Let me go ahead and clear this out. And so 1,500 miles divided by 47, and that's how many miles per gallon this vehicle can get, equals 31.9. Or we'll say 32 gallons. It's going to take 32 gallons of gas to drive this distance. And at the national average of $3 a gallon, that's $96. And so in this case, the hybrid wins. And probably the longer distance you go, the bigger the difference is going to be between the hybrid. And we'll just look at that just for you all to see what the difference would be. So we have $115, and we'll just throw in 63 cents. And we're going to subtract that by 96. And you're looking at $19.63. And so it would cost the Tesla at least $19.63 more in this scenario than it would the hybrid. And so right here, the hybrid wins, right? And this just goes to show you that Toyota is right, that if you get a hybrid, you're going to save way more money over time, especially if you're just road tripping all the time. Every day, all the time, you're going to end up beating out the Tesla, or if this person has a supercharge every day and they didn't have a place to charge at home. However, the majority of people are able to charge at home. And so now we're going to look at what's the day-to-day routine. The average person drives 36 miles a day, and they usually only take one road trip a year. So what's going to happen mostly is day-to-day driving, commuting. And so now let's look at those numbers. And so first we're going to use the average of 1,200 miles a month, and then we're going to divide that by 4.54. This is for the Tesla Model 3. That's going to take 264 kilowatt hours to drive 1,200 miles. Okay, so next we're going to determine how much it's going to cost a Tesla to charge at home. We're going to use the national average for electricity, which is 16.63 cents. So we're going to say 0.1663. And so we get $43.90. So $43.90. We'll just round it up to 44. We're going to say it costs $44. Okay, next now let's do the Toyota Camry Hybrid. Okay, 1,200 miles divided by 47 miles a gallon, and we get 25.53 gallons. So we just call that 25.5. No, actually, we just round it down. We just say 25. We'll go in favor of the hybrid. So it's going to take 25 gallons of gas for the hybrid to drive 1,200 miles. And we're going to times that times the national average for gas, which is $3, and that's $75. And so what's the difference? That's the $31 difference a month. And we just times that times 12. And now you have $372 difference a year. And yeah, so it may not seem like a big a difference because if you look at these two vehicles, there is a big price difference. However, I will argue that these vehicles, in my opinion, are not comparable, that the Tesla Model 3 is more comparable to a BMW than to a Camry. Because there's just so many features, and if you don't believe me, just go ahead and check it out. And so in this video, I'm not really trying to compare features. I'm more so just looking at the bottom line, which is least expensive to operate. As far as gas on a day-to-day, the Tesla's going to win every time. And you'll have to take quite a few road trips to cover this gap. And so what are some other benefits? This Tesla doesn't have to go to the gas station. The Tesla can charge from the convenience of their home and not have to go to the gas station. And there's a lot less maintenance. And I know people will say, oh, there's way more maintenance with electric vehicles. I would just say personally, I have not seen it. I have owned 4 electric vehicles, and I do have internal combustion engine vehicle, Mazda CX-9. I've owned internal combustion engine vehicles for like well over 30, almost 40 years now. And so I do have experience with both, lots of experience. And I can say unequivocally that the internal combustion engine vehicle requires way more costly maintenance. And the Mazda is a good vehicle, but this is just routine maintenance to make sure this vehicle is operating at its optimum standard. And then someone may say, oh, what about the tires? You have to replace tires way more often. It depends on the weight of the vehicle, and that's why I showed you the curb weight of the Tesla versus the Toyota Camry. These vehicles are very similar in weight, so it's more than likely going to experience very similar tire wear. And so that's not an issue either. I owned a Chevy Bolt, and those tires lasted 50,000 miles, and that vehicle is like 4,000 pounds. So a lot of it depends on how you drive, how many horsepower, and these vehicles are also kind of similar in horsepower to Tesla, being higher horsepower, the faster to the 60. I'm sure it's a lot more fun to drive, a much better driving experience than the Camry, but that's for another video. But we're just talking about the sheer cost. There's no oil changes, none of that stuff, so brakes probably last forever. The warranties on these vehicles are very similar, actually. In fact, the Toyota does have a better warranty when it comes to the batteries, 10 years, and also the hybrid train is 8 years. So with the Teslas being 8-year, 120,000 miles. So similar in warranty. But I would say that they are very similar, but for the day-to-day driver, you would save more with the electric vehicle. And I want you to understand that this is going to be very dependent on your electricity rate. And so my rate is a lot lower than this 16 cents that we're talking about. I know a lot of people come in my comment section, they say they're only paying 5 cents a kilowatt hour. So in my case, I'm paying 13 cents per kilowatt hour. We're going to use the Tesla again for my scenario. We're going to take 1,200 miles divided by 4.54. That's going to equal 264 kilowatt hours, and we're going to times that times 13 cents. And so in my case, it would cost me $34 a month in order to operate this vehicle, $34 a month. Let's see, another thing with electric vehicles, you can control the cost even more with solar panels. So if I was able to get solar, I can get this number close to zero, and you cannot do that with gas. And so let's look at the difference. We were saying the Camry is going to cost $75, $75 minus 34. That's a $41 difference. And you just times that times 12. You're looking at almost $500. And that adds up. And you say over a 5-year period, that's $2,460. And again, that's not factoring in the maintenance savings and all of the other stuff that you get with the electric vehicle. Not have to worry about the headaches, timing change, engines, emission test, and all the stuff that comes with it. The amount of time you have to spend going back and forth to the gas station, you don't have to do that. No, someone would say, well, look at all the time you spend going to charging stations on road trips. Again, it happens once a year. And I looked at all the data. The average gas station stop is 20 minutes. And so if you want to add that up over the course of a year, you're looking at on an average of 13 hours that you're actually spending going back and forth to the gas station and filling your gas tank up. And that time, that adds up. In some cases, depending on your scenario, it may be more beneficial to go with a hybrid. If you have to rely on the public charging infrastructure, it's going to be more expensive. So in that case, you'd be better off getting a hybrid vehicle. That is true. But if your goal is to have a superior driving experience and you can charge at home or you can charge for lower than what the amount of gas would be, in my case, in order for the Camry to compete, the gas price would have to be $1.44 a gallon. Could it get there? Maybe, but highly unlikely. But let me know what you think in the comments. And again, if you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. But that's all I have for today. I'd like to thank you for joining me once again. And I can't wait to see you on the next video.